Hi, everybody. How are you? I hope you're well. It's been a minute, right? We're all busy. Anyway, I found 5 minutes or so to try and get online and do this thing that I'm trying to do. The first thing I'd like to talk about is I finally decided what my next sort of deep dive is going to be on, and that will be on how law enforcement, police use artificial intelligence for criminal profiling. Um, I would have liked to have used it specifically with the Bryan Kohberger case. Unfortunately, for the public, details are very scant. And as Ann Taylor said herself, the whole thing was just a big, giant, dirty secret. Um, who knows? Do they even know? We don't know. Um, I've also become quite dark with Hitler because I'm starting to think he really should have. He really should have had a Frank's motion to get all that stuff into the sunlight. It needed to be done. And I'm also quite dark with Dateline because I think about these things and I just get angrier and angrier as time goes on. Um, Dateline, with all their resources and the heft that they have behind them as an organisation, they really could have done some good instead of focusing on the salaciousness of the whole Bryan Kohberger thing and him possibly being a budding serial killer. And, you know, they're really pushing that narrative. And I think I know why that narrative is being pushed. Do you guys remember during COVID when all of a sudden every epidemiologist and their dog was on your TV screen because they had finally found a reason to be public, right? We needed them all of a sudden. Well, it's sort of the same with this. All of a sudden, all the profilers and the criminal psychologists and the mind hunter wannabes, they're all pushing the serial killer angle. And yes, those sort of people do walk amongst us, but can we just chill out for 5 minutes? Yeah. So I think I'm definitely going to do the deep dive on that because a consensus is building up within law enforcement and the judiciary as to how that technology should be used. But it should actually be a public consensus, right? It should be us that say, yeah, that's kosher and that's not, and we're completely being steamrolled as per usual. So yes, I am going to get onto that. I've been thinking about it. There is not a lot of YouTube stuff for me to look at. It is very much all academic papers, and there's just so much crap there, and I'm it's like sifting and sifting to find some nugget for you. Anyway, that's how it works. Second thing I want to talk about. I've just finished reading Douglas Murray's on. It's called On Democracies and Death Cults. If you like Douglas Murray, and if you would like to get I guess we could call it a very pro-Israel view of October 7, then read it. And, you should read it because he's right. I mean, from one of the last videos that I did, I remember just coming off the camera and I was just going through, it was Yahoo News or something, and I saw two Israeli staffers. I think it was at the Washington Embassy. They had left a function at the the Capitol Jewish Museum. They had left a function, and they were crossing the road, and this total psycho by the name of Elias Rodriguez, 30 years old, of Chicago, thought it would be a good protest to shoot this beautiful couple in the street. And There was like 20 or so shell casings there. She tried sort of crawling away, and he's sort of leant over, and like it's gross. But he just so brazenly went to the actual building, and he's sitting there like as though nothing had happened, but he was sweating profusely apparently. You can get all of these details from a particular Washington Post article that I will put in the link below. And you can see security taking him because he starts saying, I did it for Gaza, and then you see him on the footage chanting, "Free, free Palestine." And an eyewitness said that he was saying, "Free Palestine, and there is only one solution, a global intifada," or something to that effect. I really don't give this rubbish much time of day, but we actually should give it the time of day because, it didn't take me long to talk about Israel and Palestine. It's so bad. It's just, you shouldn't do it as a newbie, but I'm doing it anyway. We should pay attention to what this moron has done and what he's chanting, because they are the same chants that protesters and university students in some of the most prestigious colleges in America were chanting. I mean, in Australia as well, on the Opera House. I don't even know what's wrong with young people these days. This whole free Palestine, and they're convinced it's a genocide. These idiots don't know what a genocide is. I'm just going to put that out there. They can't see the difference between a genocide and a country defending itself. Do they realise that 6,000 armed militants breached the walls on October 7th? Do these young people chanting these things, do they even comprehend that at that Nova Festival where 364 young, beautiful people were just having fun, 364 young ravers were just killed. Some animals on bloody paragliders and their jeeps and motorbikes. Did anyone else watch this footage of Shani Luke's poor body being desecrated the way it was, and that poor girl being shoved into a jeep? She can't even bear weight on one of her ankles, and she's got blood on the back of her pants. Did anyone hear the maniacal cackles of that Palestinian terrorist raiding someone's house and their fridge? People killed in their pajamas, people dead at bus stops, in the streets, melted in their cars. What is wrong with these protesters that they can't identify with people that are very similar to them? And that's coming from me as someone who, I was raised very religiously, unfortunately, which unfortunately makes me very, very aware of how the country of Israel was created. I'm not going to get into that. But I have always found Israel's inception problematic. Okay? But that has absolutely nothing to do with what happened on October 7. And I cannot wrap my head around it. October 8, I became quite a staunch supporter of Israel on October 8. Never thought that would happen. It could probably still change, but at this point in time, October 8th changed me. And I hope they succeed in quelling whatever unrest they have on their doorstep, because it's existential. And if you've got people like Elias who are just going around and shooting people, completely unhinged, but that starts in schools and universities, by the way. Here where I am, there's the teachers are unionising because they want to be able to talk about Palestine and human rights. And I'm thinking to myself, well, firstly, there's no reason you should be talking to primary schoolers about this. There's no reason at all. High schoolers, okay. I just need to calm down. High schoolers, maybe, okay. And they actually have to bring it up, you know? And then, even then, it's entirely up to you as a teacher as to whether or not you're going to go into that topic, okay? And then how, if you do choose to go into that topic, are you going to frame it? Are you going to frame it through the prism of colonialism and oppression and human rights? Are you going to say, oh, this is a long-standing conflict between Israel and Palestine, and you know, it was just a resistance? Like, how are you going to frame it? Because if you're not careful, you're going to create more Elias Rodriguez's. And we really don't need that kind of, I don't want to say extremism, but it is extremism. We don't need that kind of character walking the streets. Where there's this guy called Ken Klippenstein, and he's got a Substack. He actually published Rodriguez's manifesto. It's called An Explication, if you would like to psychoanalyze what was going through this person's mind. He's very well educated. And he writes beautifully. But at the end of it, I don't know. I can't see how you go from being upset about something to then thinking it's okay to shoot 2 people from an Israeli embassy. And if you still on Klippenstein's Substack, go into the private chats with this Elias dude and his friends, and he's talking about sort of genociding a heap of white people, right? I mean, look at him. He's not exactly not white. I don't understand. I truly don't understand what's happened. What did we do somewhere, education-wise? Okay, so I got that off my chest. This might have been a very unwise move to talk about Israel and Palestine. It's very divisive, very polarizing, but it all worked because of the book with Douglas Murray and what happened in Washington, and I probably needed to get it out. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Okay, I better get to doing some cooking. I'm making orecchietti tonight, which is why I've got this, because the recipe calls for some white wine to make a beurre blanc. So thank you for listening to me dribble on for precisely 13 minutes, closer to 14. I will get right onto that deep dive. And just on that deep dive with Kohberger and AI, let's hope that maybe artificial intelligence can help exonerate Kohberger if it's that way. Let's say Kohberger is completely innocent. Let's hope he gets exonerated using artificial intelligence. And on that note, I'll say bye and have a lovely day, everybody. Bye.